need to change your mind's reaction. It's do another for you. Here's the law of love and attraction. I'll show you what I can do. You know you find a result now. You know just what to do.
One of the native trees we have here at Columbia Cottage is the small-leaved tamarind, or Diplogotus campbellii, and this one is started to fruit when about 9 years old. We've been here 11 years now, so it's a really lovely little tree. Doesn't grow too tall, but the fruit, there's not much left on. We've picked most of it. The rain actually knocked quite a bit of it off. The fruit is sitting on the tree in the casing. The casing opens and then the fruits start to drop. You don't need the casings, just those little fruits. And they look like little orange marbles all under the tree. So you'll be able to come out and see, hiding in the leaf litter is all these little fruits. And we are going to make some lovely jam with our small leaf tamarinds. Okay, so next time I'll see you, we'll be inside. Hey guys, we're back in making some tamarind jam. So we've harvested over a course of weeks. We've actually got some, and I've popped them in the freezer in different containers, so that because they ripen over different times, sometimes you just get the nuts and you can't keep them for that long. But our last harvest got this little bounty, which is amazing. So we've got quite a few tamarinds now, and we're going to try and make it into a jam. So what I'll do, I'll just get the strainer, pop them in the strainer, and we'll give them a rinse off. I didn't worry about rinsing them before I freeze them, because once you wet them, they get a bit soggy. So I'll make them have a little bath. We'll take those over to the sink. Give them a bit of a wash and pop them in the pan. We'll just make sure that we've got enough room in our pan. So I'll bring all of these over. So we just keep washing them all off, just pick through, make sure you've got good fruit. Most of these were really good fruits. There's one there's a bit yucky, we'll throw that out. Make sure all your fruit's nice and clean. So there we are, we have the fruit all washed, and we're going to put a bit of water in there. I probably will put the water to just below the fruit line. You can see the water's just below the fruit line, and then we'll put them on the stove. We'll use a high heat to start with. I'm actually not sure how long they're going to take, so we'll look at the time. It's 10:56. Okay, it's now 11:18, so it's been a little while, just over 20 minutes, and it's starting to really bubble and froth, which is looking great. So give it a little stir. This is when it'll start to climb the pan, which it just did a minute ago, but it's settled back down again now. So if it does get a bit too much, just make sure you switch the heat off and wait for it to cool down a little, start again. So we had it on high before, we're going to switch it down to simmer, and we'll just let that simmer away, probably until all the fruit looks nice and soft. So you can see there's still lumpy bits there. That's all going to have to come off. So that's looking really good. Okay, it's been another 15 minutes and we actually look like this jam's looking great. So I switched the heat off. You can see it's a little bit frothy. The nuts are looking really clean. So what I'm doing now, I'm just going to get out all the nuts. So we've turned the heat off and we'll just scoop out the nuts and keep the flesh in. Just make sure you get all of those nuts out now. Definitely, if you were doing this again, I would probably use a trivet in the pressure cooker. The next step for this is we will measure how much liquid we have in our pressure cooker and what we left over with. So we're just going to take that over to our jug and very carefully pour it in. And you'll be able to see if there's any nuts in there. Look at that. You can see them in the bottom now anyway. We'll just scoop them out. Do the hard bits down there. This is really good at the end. We're getting out any of the last of the nuts that have been pretending they're not a nut at all. And we look like we have 8 cups of liquid. So usually with my jams, it's a lot of people make it cup for cup, the actual liquid to sugar, but I make it usually a little bit less sweet, so I'll do probably 7 cups to the 8, the liquid. And we're going to pop that back into this pan, and then we'll measure our sugar. So that'll go back onto the stove. So it's nice and warm. Now we're going to put it back on the stove, bring it back to the boil. I've got the juice of a lemon here, which I'll add into it. So we'll pop that in. And then we've got our sugar. Now I'm pretty much sure this won't set very well, so I'm going to use jam set with the sugar. And it just makes sure that it's nice and firm, rather than make it runny and then not be able to eat it. So we'll put in probably with 8 cups, I'd put in probably a packet of jam set. Okay, bring it to a rapid, nice back to boil again. So there we go. And we'll add this very gently, a little bit at a time, and stir. So don't just plonk it in. Just be on the last bit of sugar. When you're ready for your last bit of sugar, I'll add the jam set, and then we'll bring it to a rapid boil and boil between 5-10 minutes. And then it should be getting nice and thick. We'll just give it a test. We're nearly at the end of our sugar. I'll pop the jam set in with that sugar. Just goes in a little bit better when it's mixed with the sugar, and we'll pop that through. This is going to be brought back up to rapid boil, and when it's boiling for between 5 and 10 minutes, make sure you stir it. Just keep a really good eye on it, because it will rise quite quickly now when it starts to heat up. So stir, occasionally stop it sticking. Once your sugar's in, it really does have a tendency to get sticky at the bottom or burnt. This is the rapid boil. We'll just keep it going for about 5 minutes now. Before you make your jam, pop a couple of plates into the freezer. So these have been in the freezer, and you can test to see if the jam's actually set by just putting a bit onto your plate. Leave it for a couple of seconds, and then you'll see whether it's starting to set up. You can actually sometimes drag your spoon through and see it ripple when it's really thick. So it's still looking really quite runny, and it's even sliding around in the plate. So what I'm going to do with another little bit more sugar, I'll add another half packet of jam set and bring it back to the boil again for another 5 minutes. With the jam, you'll see it starts to get a bit of a scum on the top. This, you can spit that off. Now we're going to give it another test and see how thick it is. So I'll grab another cold plate and we'll give it another test. We'll drop a little bit more onto a plate and hopefully this will set. You just got to give it a few seconds to set before you try and tip it. It's looking a lot better. Nearly there. So we're just going to give it another 5 minutes boiling time. So this is the second time it's had to boil, and this will be 10 minutes for this boil, and then we'll give it another test after that. If not, looks like we have to add some more jam set or some more sugar. Okay, done another test. This one looks good, a little bit runny, but not too bad. So I think that's about right. So what we'll do now is turn it off the heat and we'll fill our jars. We use the little Kilner jam funnel, and that just fits straight on the jars and you can tip it straight in. It's a little, be really careful, it's still really hot. And I'll go through and fill them up, and then we can take a photo of the final product. Diplogotus campbellii, or small-leaf tamarind, is the most amazing tree to grow. It's actually very rare in the wild. So I hope that you can actually grow one and enjoy the beautiful native tamarind bush food jam like we can. And now this jam here has been in the fridge overnight, so make sure after you've poured the jam into the jars that you pop it in the fridge, leave it overnight, and you can see the results. Just a really lovely jam. Tastes amazing. It's got a really tart, sweet flavour, and we're going to, I think, have that on some pikelets. So I hope you get to enjoy our jam, or well, make your own and enjoy some jam. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to our channel. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.
Baby, it's up to you. You gotta choose. Everything will be fine if you just keep your mind. If you just change your